ಸರ್ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ರಿ.
Shweta?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you inform to your colleague, no? Your literature colleague?
Okay. Yes, sir. I informed sir already.
Right.
They are joining, sir.
Even it is now YouTube live also, I made it, but recording not started. We'll be starting the recording.
Okay, sir.
Once we start recording, then YouTube will be also there.
Okay, sir.
Sana madam
Sana, you have to join when I will tell you. Huh? Then only your screen is showing here. You go out of screen. Yeah. Dr. Manjunath? Dr. Lata?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Lata has joined.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So Dr. Lata, Professor
Yes.
of Physiology and Director of IQAC, PLD University. She has joined.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Lata. Both guest, a speaker, as well as the chairperson, session chair, Dr. Shweta, both are here.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Shweta?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Lata just addressed you.
Yes, sir. Good evening, madam.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening.
IQAC University. Dr. Manjunath has joined. Dr. Manjunath, Professor of Physiology, Senior Most Professor of Physiology. Dr. Manjunath, he has also joined.
Yes, sir.
And co-host is Dr. Shana Koshar. She is doing PhD under me.
Yes.
Shweta, I will introduce you
Okay,
first,
sir.
and
Yes,
then
sir.
I will hand over the mic to you. Okay?
Okay. Sure, sir. Sir, can we wait for another 3 to 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Students will join, sir.
Yeah, it's supposed to be started at 4. So
Yes, sir.
I have not yet made the YouTube live now.
Okay,
Both are
sir.
kept it paused.
Yes, sir.
Exactly 4 I will start it.
Okay, sir.
Because it will be in the YouTube, so in any future also anyone can see it. There is no problem.
Yes, sir.
Meeting room 1. Click.
Good evening, sir.
Meeting room 1. Yes, Silakshmi. Dr. Silakshmi. Yeah. Dr. Silakshmi has joined?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Silakshmi is Associate Professor of Physiology and Assistant Director of Laboratory of Vascular Physiology and Medicine. Our guest speaker as well as the chairperson, both are here. Guest speaker, Mallikarjun B. Patil, maybe Mulimuni and Shweta Shavnur.
Good evening, madam.
Good afternoon.
Good
ma'am.
afternoon.
And I am assisted by my son, Shandeep. He is not seen here, he is by the side of me. Or else you can simply sit by the side of me. Because you can see there and you can listen from here. Amrit Sumangala admit. Power admit. Yeah. Yeah, I'm very happy that my department, everybody's and in the departmental chairperson, Dr. Shumangala is already here. And Amrit, both the postgraduate student of department is already here. Yeah. Dr. Amrit? Yeah. I think that Hannah?
Hello. Hello.
Are you hearing?
Yes, sir. I am hearing, sir.
Dr. Shumangala, we have to start now. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
So you are hearing me? Fine.
Yes, sir.
Mallikarjun, are you hearing me? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. So we have started the YouTube link and let us start it. So first I will ask Dr. Shumangala, Professor and Head, to welcome.
Very good morning to all. Good evening, actually, it is afternoon. And I welcome today's esteemed speaker, Dr. Mallikarjun Mulimani, sir. We have heard
Please,
a lot about you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
From
Thank you,
the,
doctor. Thank you, doctor.
we are all eager to hear you, sir.
Thank you, doctor.
Today
Thank you.
and
I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
welcome, sir.
Thank you.
We
sir.
also welcome Shweta madam, who will be
Good evening,
today's
madam.
guest person.
Yes, madam.
Welcome, and I welcome all other faculty members of our department and other departments, PhD scholars. Welcome to this very unique program that we continue with our mentor Kushal Das sir.
Yes, sir.
wherein a lot of multidisciplinary topics are selected, and we enjoy this session a lot. And this is a very unique program that is practiced still very long time. So this is actually 49th, and next month we are celebrating 50th research club, and it's going on very smoothly, and all with blessings of Kushal Das sir and other mentees. So welcome you, and let us start. I request Sweta madam to kindly chair the session.
Sure, sure.
Over to Shweta.
Okay. So good evening, one and all. Respected dignitaries of this event, I am Shweta Saunur, Faculty of Department of MA in English, SB Arts and KCP Science College, Vijaypur. First of all, I am very thankful to Dr. Kushal Das sir for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I really feel proud for being a part of this event. It's my immense pleasure to introduce today's guest speaker, Shri Mallikarjun B. Mulimani sir. Shri Mallikarjun Mulimani sir, an electronics and communication engineer, is also a versatile writer. He was born on 17 September 1979. He initially wrote poems, later took up writing short stories, novellas, and novels. So far, he has written 14 books, Abstractions, a book of poems and digital artwork, The Holy Plumber and Other Stories, a book of stories with a poem for each story, Operation Epiphany, God's Journey on Earth, a novel, and Dams Across the Flow. A novella were published by Writers Workshop, Kolkata. His other works include Victims Incorporated, Circles of Subconsciousness, a novel published by Current Publications, Agra, and What Happened to My Creativity, a novella self-published by Create Space. 4 of his latest novels, Star Ride to Nirvana, Bhakti Sans Religion, Dilemmas in Search of One's True Inner Self, Politics, a Love Story, and Buddha in a Mercedes, and 3 of his latest books of poems, like Poems to Myself, Alternative Haikus, Poems for Us, and a book containing a long single poem, Selene, a Poem, were published by Lead Start Publishing Private Limited. The author's style is one in which he feels that brevity is of the essence. In his work, the author wrestles with the aspects of the social milieu, life, love, sex, death, religion, realization of self and God, and other serious issues. The author touches upon the metaphysical side of all the above mentioned issues whenever he deals with them in his work. He's a serious writer who also has a very subtle, sarcastic wit about him. Many eminent personalities, including the late Professor U.R. Ananthamurthy, have appreciated him. So now I request Sri Mallikarjun sir to enlighten us with holding the session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, madam. You have been too kind. Actually, it's 26 books,
Okay, sir.
not 14, 26.
Okay, sir.
Anyway, there are 2 ways of giving a talk. One is extempore, and the other is you take out a printout, you write down, take out a printout and be precise about what you are talking about. I would like to go in for the latter. I have prepared a printout and I'm going to just read from it. I would like to be precise. So, good evening, respected elders and kind participants. This is translation of philosophy into poetry and fiction. I'm Mallikarjun B. Mulimani, who goes by the moniker of Raj. I'm thankful to Professor Kushal K. Das, Professor Sumangala Patil, Ms. Shweta Saunur, Dr. Jyoti Khodnapur, and all others concerned for giving me this opportunity to express myself in audio and video. I have as already told, I have a degree in ENC engineering, which explains a lot about my motto. Brevity is of the essence. Thus, I am in love with haikus. What are haikus? 3-line poems with 5, 7, and 5 syllables in each line respectively. You will understand a lot about me from my very first haiku. It is my pinned tweet on Twitter. Rainbow has colors, but men, faith, and flag colors. Absurd looks what's present. The next one is meaning maximum through minimum is haiku. Whole more than parts sum. However, a gestalt is good only in theory for expanding beyond ourselves, but it is impossible in practice. Gestalt. I believe everything is contained and do not natural. My latest books have a lot to do with that. They were not mentioned, but you can find it all on my website, mulimani.com. Before we start upon the topic of life and death, which is not only mine, but everyone's obsession, here is a light haiku. A whimsical die, rolling in a haiku thrice to 575. Now here is my take on life from my 22nd book, Whimsical Dice. Dice were rolling without any purpose in the universe and came to rest with a value of what we know as life on earth. Lightning was the spark of the spark plug which ignited the fuel in the engine of life. The juggernaut of life was set into motion by lightning. There was a reason behind the origin of life, but life was unplanned. There was no purpose. It is similar to a car accident. It has a reason, like maybe a blinding lightning strike which causes a tree to come crashing down on the moving car, but it is completely unplanned. What is life? We are calling what we think is life, life. We are defining ourselves. Life defining itself as life doesn't make sense. We are standing upon our own shoulders to reach for the cookie jar on the top shelf. One can't pat oneself on one's back. One can't call oneself good. Contained within the sphere of life, the life we know, we are calling life, life. It is we who have to give purpose and meaning to life. There is no purpose and meaning behind anything. We have to give it. By now, all would have understood that I worship only Darwin and Dawkins. So what will I do upon my father's death, bereft of all rituals? I have already written an eulogy which I will read. This is my best poem till date. It is called Ode to Dad. To hills of dawn, with a child of his own, walked the father during cool summer weather. On Sundays, when at home, after weekdays, when office was home, the kid used to set sail, happy to inhale the fragrance of his dad's growing eminence. Parent would become a mountain without fear, progeny a wild twisting river, Mother Nature the life giver. It was the two without a tear. And the green earth they walked, gathering tiny flowers from purple and yellow rivers, would one day be their evergreen shroud. But during these gay walks, amid cool and fragrant talks, the father Zephyr shaped the child's sphere. From physics to paintings, butterflies to spaceships, pebbles to planets, showed the duo's combined hearts. When loath to return home, the father would tell his son, let's not bake in the noon sun. Quickly, let's pick more flowers for mom. During return, when mosquitoes and flies buzzed overhead like people's lies, the child was told, you will grow tall, but the story will never become old. Grow so tall, my boy, that you will never look at anyone as a toy. But no matter what they do, they will not be able to play with you. The walks were precious, the talks were serious, times were transient. In life, they too were not permanent. But during the moments when mom presented a vase for their Sunday's pretty moments, with a hearty breakfast waiting, the three kept eternity waiting. I consider this to be my best poem for forever. By the way, with respect to my work, I have stopped using names which indicate religion in my last few books. I use the names of professions and emotions, and also, unfortunately, physical characteristics. I wish I could have surpassed this too, but some things are inevitable, like death. Now, since death comes, which is the only reason behind the God fallacy, I who have come very close to death many times because of my own fallacies, look at God as only beauty and nothing else. What is beauty? Why are sunrises and sunsets so beautiful? Simply because they are impersonal, free for all, and occur punctually in all parts of the world. A woman is fresh in the morning, and to a fresh brain all appears beautiful. So a sunrise is beautiful, heralding the freshness. Sunset finds a man finishing his work. His mind is tired but calm on account of him finishing his work. Voila, beauty again. Try banging your head against someone instead of an impersonal door. You may get angry at the human, but never at the door. That is why the impersonal God of Advaita is what I consider to be the supreme God. Let me come to my latest book, Do, the Fourth Musketeer of Lust, Love and Life, which is my first book after 23 and almost 2 decades to be traditionally published. Some of its few lines. Relationships are ships which ferry pain and pleasure across short distances. Nothing is permanent, neither pain nor pleasure. We embark at the port of pleasure and disembark at one of pain, and vice versa. However, what are to be relished are the short rides across the waters of life, the perpetual journeys we undertake in search of ourselves with others. Philosophies. Everything in life, when kept rare, becomes precious. Digressing, I'm going to digress a little. Why do we write? It is not to tell others what we know, but to truly understand what we already know. For in truly understanding ourselves lies our own true living. The truth lies in us as do the lies. We are what we choose to manifest what is within of us. Coming to my favorite topic, a few words about addictions. Do struggles with addictions throughout Do. His addictions to his pipe, his wine, and love for women. These are just run-of-the-mill addictions common to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who thinks he is in love and has been betrayed by life when it comes to everything, especially his sky-high ambitions. But Do is not your ordinary Tom, Dick, and Harry, though he has all of their faults. What makes Do unique and special are his extraordinary addictions, which should be termed his virtues and not his vices. Do is addicted to philosophy. He is addicted to the nitty-gritty of the abstract. He finds his own questions where others are satisfied with others' answers and struggles through mind-numbing logic to come to reasonable answers to life's conundrums. He is an addict who tortures himself with his addiction. Do is a masochist when it comes to philosophy, and such a masochism can be safely given the neologism masophy. I created that neologism masophy. But Do is better than all of us who torture ourselves with mundane addictions like life. At least he has a neologism to his name. I am Do. Okay. Jokes apart, addictions can be got rid of by disidentification, and beauty can be made with one by stopping defining. What is this? My wine and my pipe and my woman are not one with me. This is disidentification. I don't define the sunset and I don't define me. Therefore, both are one in all beauty. This is the second part. There is nothing wrong in smoking, drinking, and making love. But that's only if one is involved in both disidentification and not defining. Zero, shunya, everything and nothing. Now something surreal here for the mystics. My guru, the late Professor K. Raghavendra Rao, called me a mystic. This is the last paragraph of my book, Predator and Prey, which is all about complementary contrast. The whole book is written in Predator and Prey, complementary contrast mode, which I have dedicated this book to Professor N. Umakanta, my grandfatherly guide when it came to some philosophical matters. A small paragraph to understand the last paragraph before that. Okay. The old red, as I told you, I have stopped using names. Unfortunately, in this book, I use nationalities. I couldn't help it. In the later books, I have not used anything except physical characteristics. No nationalities, no religion, nothing. This is my way of trying to propagate my idea that everybody is equal and the same. Everybody is just a human. If you define somebody, please define them by their profession. Her profession is God. Kaya Kave Kailasa, the highest God, profession. The old red-haired Irish American who is terminally ill commits suicide by dousing his coffin, which he has dragged to the top of a mountain with whale oil and setting fire to it. So now I'll read the last paragraph for the mystics, those who worry about rebirth and all these things. Would there be light? And then the purple velvety moth of the night, clad in the shroud robe of a monarch, entered the coffin cocoon of the dying embers of the fire and emerged from the ashes chrysalis like a phoenix as a purple monarch butterfly of the day. About the man, for him, who should say, let there be light? For the dead man, life would not be life. Space and time would not be space and time anymore. The reality he had known would not be the new reality. Everything he had known it had been finite. I like to use the finite word a lot because there's no such thing as infinity. In mathematics, you always say tending to infinity. We do not say it at infinity. So I like to make sure that everything in life is finite. Everything should be finite. Only then there is a lot of pleasure in life. But before this is what happened in my book, Predator and Prey. I'm reading from my work, sir. It is an example of creative writing with everything in Predator and Prey, complementary contrast mode. The red-haired Irish American has made a few diary entries, actually 30 of them, on desire. Diary entry 6. Man and woman are predators, preying on each other because of lust and desire for gold. Both become prey to their desire, a predator. The neighbor, predator, preys on man or woman with the help of one of the couple who desires more than what can be given by the other and believes the neighbor will be able to satisfy their desire. If the neighbor promises to because of his or her desire and becomes a prey to both his or her desire and man's or woman's desire. Man or woman is prey to their desire, preying on the neighbor's desire. Man or woman becomes the predator, preying on the neighbor. Man, woman, and neighbor become predator and prey because of their desire. Desire being the hapless prey and the ultimate predator. Man and woman desire power over each other, and when the coup d'etat fails, they turn to the neighbor. Man had clothed himself since Adam and Eve and had become colorless, unlike plants and animals whose naked beauty had grown. Darkrai. Darkrai is the pen name which I use, and I have given it to the Irish American as well, who writes his diary entries is Darkrai. His pen name, meaning if there can be a ray of light, why can't there be a Darkrai? It's a dark matter is already there, dark energy is already there. It's just a pen name. Next. I think if any mathematician is present, he will enjoy this. On the theist Srinivasa Ramanujan and the atheist Godfrey Harold Hardy. That is diary entry 3. The stout and dark Welfrau was poor on account of its limited territory, but dared to dream beyond its well and yearned to jump through the sky hole in the roof of its home and reach the sea. One fine day, as it floated in the warm water amidst slimy blue-green algae, gently waggling its soft limbs, watching the yellow sun blazing between tender white clouds, through the blue sky hole of its world, it saw a golden brown eagle slit the shiny orb in half with its sharp, outstretched wings. Suddenly, the eagle god, seeing the poor frogman wallowing in misery, sharply descended from the high sky with a shrill cry, which resounded as the giant bird of prey quickly dropped down through the round walls of the well, and plucking the fat frog from its troubled waters, rose upwards, flapping its large wings mightily. Ramanujan was fat, short and fat. Flying away, the bird gently carried the amphibian, clutching it between the sharp talons of its left leg, taking care not to pierce its soft body, to a faraway sea, and dropped it into cold waters after a pleasant sky journey. The sea frog, this is Godfrey Harold Hardy, thin and fair, which had no faith in the eagle god, as it had never seen one, came across the well frog, shivering in cold alien waters, which tried to convince his fellow frogman of its incredible flight, which would not have been possible but for the eagle god. Ramanujan credited everything to a Devi, Namakkal, goddess Namakkal. Within no time, the well frog, with its story of its flight of brilliance and its snake companion in its well, preyed upon the eagle godless and companionless sea frog. He was unmarried. Godfrey Harold Hardy was unmarried. Which in turn tried to teach the ways of the sea world to its friend from afar, and in a way preyed upon its beliefs, predator and prey. And however, both benefited from each other's knowledge. But the well frog, finding little well food in the sea and unable to eat seafood, soon became sick because of cold and hunger, and later going back to its well, died unable to recover. Ramanujan, the married Indian genius who credited his brilliance to God. Hardy, the English atheist bachelor who discovered Ramanujan and helped him in England. This is complementary contrast, what I'm talking about in this book, life. Now for the last realizations of the red-haired Irish American in his graveyard cum crematorium on the lonely mountain top. I've had some realizations and I have put it in through him. This is what I'm doing. This is my philosophy. I'm translating it into poetry and fiction. I'm not saying this is philosophy. No. Nobody will accept it. Nobody cares about anybody else's philosophy. But if it is a work of fiction, people will read it happily. That's what I believe. That's what I'm doing. This life is no dream. Many people talk about Maya, this whole world is Maya. No. There's nothing like that. Maya, I can talk about Maya for hours, but that's not let's not go into that right now. All is real, but it is not the only reality. Dreams are the products of fears and desires acting upon one another, all drawn from life. The environment, however distant, has influenced me from the moment of fertilization of my mother's egg by my father's sperm to this present moment, and determined where I stood on the ladder of evolution. Signals from my environment, after transduction, have flowed as energy and chemicals in me since the moment I was conceived and made me what I was. I'm talking about fertilization and environment. These are the words which I use. Others use nature and nurture. But for me, it's fertilization and environment is what makes a man. That's what totally. Nothing supernatural. Consciousness is just an electrochemical reaction in a universe of innumerable realities. I am just an organic machine acting randomly in a chaotic universe. The order in the universe which I perceive through my senses could be different and need not include me. My animal friends have their own order. I have worked the way my animal friends have hunted. I worked for money and they hunted for food. Money is nothing more than a medium facilitating synergy between humans, enabling them to grow, hunt, and eat food in order to survive. We unnecessarily give attach too much importance to money. My human spirit was just survival instinct. Some have it, some don't. It is determined by evolution. Those who have it survive, and those who don't, again, evolution. Some have good genes, some don't, evolution. But nobody is lucky or unlucky. Everything averages out like the toss of a fair coin. This I really believe in. This is what I've experienced in my life. It has just not come from somewhere, just a random, it is not just a random line. Everything averages out in life. One does good because one feels good by doing good and not because of the milk of human kindness. There is no such thing as altruism. There is no such thing as true altruism. The only altruism that exists, which is true altruism, which is spontaneous. You see somebody in distress, you immediately rush to help. That is altruism. Otherwise, you keep on giving money to charity, hoping it will build up your image. That is not altruism. That's neither philanthropy nor altruism. Love is just a word. sweetening, redefining, and explaining away bartering. It begins with parents on being born and continues throughout life with others depending on availability and not because relationships are made in heaven. One fools oneself into believing that there is a higher purpose when there is nothing more to life than living to eat, mate, and survive. As long as one can, so that one can eat, mate, and survive all over and over again, with money being the single thread running through these three pearls of pleasure and power. There is no meaning. Gold and precious gems are only glitter having great value simply because they are rare. They have no genuine benefit for humanity other than facilitating synergy. There are no divine and satanic providences and vengeances. Only the mind extracting, correlating, attributing, and imagining, all unnecessarily, meaninglessly, and absurdly. There is no such thing as free will. It is because I tell you how I arrived at this conclusion. It's very simple, the butterfly effect of physics. If a butterfly flaps its wings in Trinidad and Tobago, somewhere in the top in USA there will be a hurricane. This has been proven. This has been proven. So everybody who, the very word I am uttering is an act of conversion. We talk about other people trying to convert other people. It's not like that. Every word I utter is trying to convert somebody. My friend told me it's influencing. I told it just an euphemism. Influencing is euphemism. What you're actually doing is trying to convert. You're trying to force your philosophy into somebody else's mind. That's what happens in life. So with every word I utter, it's like the flap of a butterfly's wings. It will affect thousands of people. Whoever all are watching this, their minds are now being influenced. So nobody has free will. And if somebody tells me something, somebody asks me a question, it will force me to think. Again, I also don't have free will. Every thought affects another thought. So that is why there is no such thing as free will, going by the butterfly effect of physics. There is no universal eternal truth. Every act is to escape the inevitability of death. Death and its fancied aftermath rebirths are governed respectively by fear and a desire to continue on with life, wishing to regain all that one has accumulated throughout life, and all of which is snatched away by death. One should liberate. This is for me, basically, this last line I have written for myself. One should liberate oneself even from one's own philosophies to realize complete freedom. That is why I have written a book called as Death of a Philosopher also. I will begin ending by saying that karma is only between living beings. Kick a dog and it'll bite you. Nothing supernatural. And going by the butterfly effect of physics, there is no free will in this universe, as I already said. Therefore, let us all work for a better multiverse together. Like Stephen Hawking, I believe in multiverses, not just a single universe. I wish I had more time, but you can see and get all my work and shenanigans at https://mulimani.com. There is even a 157 comic strips page created by me to help people who are confounded by my philosophy to become relaxed. It is called Monk Evolved. Monk Evolved, it's a capuchin monkey. It's capuchin monkey. It's a monk. Its name is Monk. It has evolved. It is a guru to everybody who comes to that island. And it is sitting on the island of beauty in the sea of humanity. So I have created 157 comic strip pages about that cartoon, about that philosophy only. I leave you now with my favorite condensed philosophy of world peace. Do not group and define. I will not explain this. It is for everybody to understand. Do not group and define. This applies to almost every act of ours in everyday life. Thank you one and all. Raj.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Thank you,
very
sir.
much, Mallikarjun. Excellent. I first request the chairperson of the session. Over to Shweta.
So it was a great pleasure to listen to your wise words and learn so much from it, sir.
Thank you, madam.
So I have a question, sir. So
Yeah, please.
can haiku evaluate processing of the poet's thoughts?
Sorry?
Can haiku evaluate processing of the poet's thoughts? Means It has restricted to only 575 syllables like this.
5 syllables, yeah, that is more than sufficient. Brevity is of the essence. The beauty of haiku is, saying a lot with very less. Saying a lot with very less. That is the beauty of a haiku.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Shweta.
Good evening.
Further,
Yes, sir,
anything?
I have some questions, sir. This is Sharan Patil from BIDA College. I am
Yes, please.
currently pursuing masters, and my question is to Mallikarjun Mulimani, sir. So I heard you speaking about that. So my question is, do humans only work or strive for betterment because they know that they won't be here for much time? And second question is, are you fascinated or scared by death?
I really don't think about it at all. Everybody dies. You know what has happened in Corona? Tell me, if I'm fascinated by that, that would make me a serial killer. If I'm scared by death, that would make me a coward. Either I'm a coward nor a serial killer. That is there. That is
Excellent answer. Excellent answer.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Manjunath? Dr. Manjunath, are you here? Our professor of physiology is extremely fond of literature. Please, anybody ask question? Otherwise, I will start asking a lot of questions to Mallikarjun. But first, I want that others should ask question. Please ask question to our guest speaker, honorable guest speaker. Anyone?
Someone wanted to ask questions, sir. I think.
Any chat box, anything they have put it?
Yes, sir. I think someone is trying to ask.
No. Dr. Shumangala actually said that marvelous analysis of predator and peace, sir. So she has given compliment to Mallikarjun.
Thank you, sir. I saw that, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
I saw that, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Please, anybody, please ask question because I will be interacting with him. Okay, let me interact then. If anybody, please, Manjunath. Dr. Manjunath.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just I wanted to tell everybody that he is a great admirer and fond of literature, and he has a
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, Dr. Manjunath,
It was a fantastic talk.
Your statement,
Fantastic talk by Dr. Mallikarjun. From science to philosophy to metaphysics. It was a fantastic translation, sir. I have seen the works, actually your works and writings and all those things. I'm very much impressed. Also through your father, I'm knowing you personally. Very fantastic work you are doing. And I hope you will have a better future life also, sir, with a lot of work. And I think metaphysics is one of the branches where we can consider nowadays importance of lifestyle. So yes, we have to modify our lifestyle. We have to change our working pattern, everything, so that we can make our life more comfortable. Otherwise, it will be difficult. So part of philosophy, part of science should be there. So it will make us more meaningful and more useful, as well as more pleasant. So many times we face the life as boring or unpleasant at some occasions, but we have to make it transform into a state of pleasure yielding. That is possible only by virtue of involving philosophy. Yes, there are various sectors of philosophy or sections of philosophy. And also you have highlighted regarding Ramanujan, the masterpiece in mathematics. Very nice. It is nice to hear to you, sir. All the best. Bright future, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Kushal Das, sir. All the members of our Department of Physiology, all the listeners, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manjunath. Your comment and remarks on Mallikarjun was really appreciated, and it is a very wise comment and remark because you understand literature in core, and you are a fond of literature, you are a practicing literature in Kannada. So your remark is different than any one of us like me who are in the different domain. So thank you, Dr. Manjunath, for excellent
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
interpretation and all. And if anybody is there, please ask question. Otherwise, I will just ask some questions to Mallikarjun, and just like an interactions, I will proceed. And you can join with me if you wish. You can participate with Mallikarjun. It's a great honor and great pleasure to listen and hear a very bright youth of our nation who is fond of literature from a background of a typical science, and that too also technological science. So it is not that easy to practice the literature, and ultimately being so passionate and devoted to completely dedicated the life on the literature, and specifically in the domain of poetry. And when I read many of his haikus, which he always shared with me, and his many books which I read, and that I understood very well how depth he understanding and how he is an abstract thinker. He's a philosopher, no doubt, but his thinking is not like a typical philosophy copybook. He is an abstract thinker, which is completely, as Manjunath correctly pointed out, that if science to metaphysics, a journey of a philosopher, he might be perfectly translating. And I wish that he should continue for a long period of time, this translation of his philosophy of thought. So I just now ask you some questions, Mallikarjun.
Yes, sir.
Mallikarjun, first of all, I ask to ask you, who is your inspiration for writing poetry?
Rumi.
Rumi. So how do you influence by Rumi is a philosopher. He's a philosopher, mainly the great philosopher. And he written this very short, like a haiku types, very short poetry.
Yes, sir.
And mainly it is has a thoughts and lesson of the life in a very
Yes,
short.
sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
but how do you make it? Because Rumi written it probably in Parsi. Am I right? Persian language.
Persian, sir, yes.
Persian. So how you make it to make your thoughts, imagination in English? Have you thought in Kannada and then?
No, sir, I think in
or you
English.
thought directly in English?
I think directly in English, sir.
Directly in English. Do you think that?
We hit upon the crux of the matter, sir. Actually, when one starts thinking in English, it becomes easy to write in English. If you think in Kannada and if you want to write in English, it will not. I don't think it is possible to write good work.
Yes, that is definitely. But I have also some observation in this regard, because some of the great poets like Tagore, I want to mention that most of the poetry, almost every poetry he has written in Bengali, but
Yes, sir.
he wonderfully translated into multiple languages like English,
Yes.
Maithili, Sanskrit, even
Yes, sir.
in the very typical language of Northern Indian colloquial language. So many of his bhajanas, and even he used some of the Persian and Arabic language, and he used his poetry, translated, make into the Arabic styles. He used the words, and perhaps he's one of the most influential poet in India who influences the other culture and race of the world into in Indian blood. So,
Yes.
but he did it in that way. But currently, almost most of the poet or literature, I found that they do it in their English. They think also in English. Do you think that it is the language by which they have been trained and understand in the schooling that makes the influence like that? Because Tagore was never in the school. Never one is in school.
I think it's just what you read, sir. What you keep on reading. Once you keep on reading English books, keep on watching English movies, keep on listening to English songs, everything it works in English itself in the brain.
Right.
And I'm ashamed to say I have learned Sanskrit, but I have forgotten it. I have learned Hale Kannada, I have forgotten it. I have learned Hindi, but I write in Hindi also nowadays.
Right. So
Hindi ghazals are right.
yes, no, but I think that I remember some great author in different language, like Russian language and Japanese. Some of the poet and author, they said that if you adopt a language wherever and whatever it may be, and whichever in your origin, and if it goes inside your heart rather than brain, it will work. It will come out with a literature flow. That's what great
True, sir.
Japanese
True, sir.
author.
Well said, sir.
Well, a Japanese author, he has actually mentioned, and this has been reflected by many of the film and movies, where, like an example, if you see the movie, because you have not seen, because it is very early, and it is 1936, The Bicycle Thieves by De Sica of Italian, great director of movie. Or if you see the Jean Renoir of France for The River, where actually Renoir has made the song which he has adopted from the river Ganges, river Volga, river Mississippi, and river Niles. So several world-class, and even river of the Vietnam. So these river songs, the people who sung by the stay in the river and they sing the song and they made it by their own language in their own meaning. He spirited the whole this thing in his famous movie, The River, which influences maximum to the Satyajit Ray, Bharat Ratna Satyajit Ray in his life. He said that I have to tell that I learned only one director really about the understanding and philosophy of the poetry. He actually mentioned the movie became a poetry for him, The River by Jean Renoir. So I think that multilingual culture is also good in this respect to understand, but perfection should be in one direction, as you have done in the English. So many of the Indian authors like Amitav Ghosh, Upamanyu Chattopadhyay, like Arundhati Roy, they written in English only. They do not write in their other language at all. So that hits and that works very nicely. So my question is, next question to you. How do you think that a poet need to be a philosopher? Why a poet need to be a philosopher? Can without philosophical understanding, because as you have given a classic example of Ramanujan and Godfrey Hardy. So Hardy and Ramanujan contrast to each other by thoughts and idea of the philosophy. He was an atheist. Hardy was a hardcore atheist, and Ramanujan hardcore, a Brahmin, Tamil, and Indian with full of religion. But they are unique mentor and mentee, I think the best mentor and mentee in the world. So it's a contrast, but both are philosophical in their own way. The man who can say that I have no meaning of any words until he speaks the words of God, express the words of God. So that's what the Ramanujan said. So
yes, sir.
Such person, how he adopted, well, philosophy actually totally two different poles. So
yes,
can a poet required really to be a philosophical, or without philosophy he can write poetry?
No, sir. I really don't have a correct answer to this. But without philosophy, everything simply is hollow. Philosophy is the stuffing in a chapati roll. Philosophy is the stuffing. Otherwise, it will be just a chapati. Poem will be just a chapati without any filling.
Right. So you say that the philosophy required for everybody, whether a scientist or a doctor or a poet or a literary or a lawyer or any profession, the philosophy is required.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. And
I believe so, sir.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to also ask you, because I read about your book, who is Chandra?
Yes, sir.
In your book, the famous book which you have written, you have mentioned the character, one character in Chandra. Do you mean the Chandrasekhar Bhenkar?
Our home is named Chandra, sir. Dharwad home is named Chandra because of Chandrasekhar, Subramaniam Chandrasekhar.
Subramaniam Chandrasekhar, that I think the astrophysicist.
Astrophysicist, sir.
Yes, right. So That's wonderful, because how you manage to write a scientific philosophy in a literature in a character wise,
Thank
I
you, sir.
think, and putting yourself into the center of the character, but you have a different thoughts and idea. And whereas the haiku is a quite different from this abstract philosophical aspect of the scientific writings. How you
Yes, sir.
manage?
I don't know, sir. It comes naturally to me. And I have been reading I used to read a lot ever since I was a kid. I read, and somehow. And I'll be very frank, because, you know, once because of my ill health, I could not get a job in my engineering career. I could not get a good job anyway. Then I thought, what is the point of working for 7,000-8,000 rupees there is? I would rather spend my life doing something worthwhile, like writing good books. I could not get a job, even though I was very good. Because of my ill health, I lost many years. So it was actually forced upon me, you can call it. This whole thing is forced upon me, but now I enjoy it.
No, I
There's
think
no
that
point in,
I think that nothing can be forced or imposed until there is a passion. Do you agree?
there was a passion, sir. Yes.
There is you agree with it. So I think so. There is a passion. Passion may be inside and inert, but it may be activated, the spark which it gets in the time and moment. So
Yes, sir. Actually, sir, I was always, since as a kid, I wanted to read Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. I have read it many times. And Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Right.
That book, those two books, like, you know, they were short books. I read only short books because there's no point in writing volumes and volumes on the same topic.
Right.
So Jonathan Livingston Seagull and Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse.
Excellent. So my another question to you, that how, being a son of a great physicist and a scientist, how you much got encouragement from your parents to keep it on in literature?
Without my father and mother, I would not have been anywhere. It's the same case for everybody. Because of them, I'm what I am. My father has always pushed me, even when I didn't want to write. He told me, write, keep on writing, flood the market. Yes, sir. Because of my father and mother, sir.
Right. So they're your inspiration, no doubt. So, and that's a wonderful, because a father who is a renowned physicist and a great academician, and being a scientist of his caliber, you are also a scientist, because professionally you are an engineer, a technocrat, but you've chosen a passion of literature. So, and you said that you enjoy it. Which you enjoy more, writing poetry, poems, or writing novels, short novels, novelettes?
Love everything, sir. Just love writing everything. Haikus, poems, long poems, short poems, novels, novellas. I love writing everything. Nowadays, what I'm doing is I'm intermixing poems in every novel. After every chapter, there is one poem. So it's a mesh. There's an intermingling. There's an inner flow between poems, novels, everything. They're not separate. They're all one.
And last question to you. Karnataka has produced lot of literary genius, lot of Gyanpith awardee, highest in India. And next to Karnataka, it is the Bengal, which produced the highest Gyanpith awardees. So Karnataka is being a highest number of Gyanpith awardees, stalwarts of literature, poem, from the whatever you say, from the Kubhempu to Shivarama Karan to U.R. Ananta Murthy, all are great son of the soils are there who are actually great in literature. Who influenced you most?
I've not read any Kannada writers, sir. I've not read Kannada books. But U.R. Ananthamurthy, he wrote the blurb for my book, What Happened to My Creativity. And I thought, and my father knew him through his son. So he asked him whether he could write a blurb, and such a great man, he wrote a blurb even which I failed to understand correctly even today. So you can say U.R. Ananthamurthy.
Yes, I have read it, that his preface writing to your writings, your book, that's really a great honor for you. And,
yes, sir.
Yes. And beside this, what are the other English literature you read it for your passion? you enjoy or you read, whom you like,
Actually,
maybe
I
poetry.
stopped reading literature, sir. Now I like the last book I read was the Dawkins, The God Delusion.
Right.
I have read it about 4 or 5 times to understand it completely. Richard Dawkins, The God Delusion. That is the last book I read. I mostly read philosophy of Osho, the Jiddu Krishnamurti and UG Krishnamurti. I've
Right.
gone through their entire philosophies. Osho's, Jiddu Krishnamurti, UG Krishnamurti. Nowadays, UG makes more sense to me than either Osho or Jiddu.
Fine. So
Yes, sir.
anyway, thank you very much once
Thank you,
again.
sir.
Before I handing over mic to Dr. Sheta, the chairperson of today's program. And Dr. Sheta,
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I'm honored and humbled, sir.
Thank you. I have
Thank you.
asked you some questions and all. I wanted to interact with you in this way. I did it.
Yes, sir.
I hope that I wish and I hope that all the people who are here attended and will be hearing tomorrow in YouTube, I think they will enjoy.
Thank you, sir.
I have tried to extract a young poet, philosopher, scientist, author, an engineer, different aspects of life. So
Thank you, sir.
thank you, Mallikarjun.
Thank you very much.
Excellent presentation, excellent
Thank you, sir.
analysis and interaction. And thank you, Dr. Sheta, for your presence, your chairperson chairing the sessions.
Thank you, sir.
And can you just give a concluding remark before
Yes, sir.
Dr. Shumangala? Dr.
Sure, sir.
Shumangala? Dr. Shumangala? You are muted.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So last, you have to give the thanks also. So
Yes, sir.
before and the certificate. So I
Huh.
just hand the concluding remark from Dr. Sheta. Sheta,
Yes, sir.
concluding remark.
Yeah, sure, sir. So philosophy translated into poems and literature, it was really an interesting topic. So since ages, philosophy and literature are like two sides of same coin. Almost all writers are in one way philosophical in their subject. When look into literature, many Indian and Western writers have produced literature with the subjects of philosophy. For instance, Indian English writer Raja Rao brings out the influence of the philosophy of Yajnavalkya, Shankaracharya, and Madhvacharya, and attainment of spiritual realization in the serpent and the rope. So also similar philosophy expressed in Arbindo's great epic Savitri. Even many of the Western writers defined philosophy and literature together. For instance, T.S. Eliot, in his The Wasteland masterpiece poem, makes reference to uh, Taittiriya Upanishad. So also in the later poems of W.B. Yeats, we see philosophical subject. Similarly, we find such subject in classic work of Immanuel Kant in his Enlightenment. There are several such examples where philosophy has been part of literature. And India stands with greatest examples like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
madam.
you so much. I request now Dr. Shumangala to take over the mic to conclude everything with the certifications. Over to Shumangala.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I would like to thank today's guest lecture speaker, Mallikarjun Mullimani sir.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us about the philosophy.
I'm ready to enlighten
No,
anybody,
sir.
doctor.
No.
You-
For us, it was really a very new
Thank you,
experience and listening to you, sir. Thank you
Thank you,
so
doctor.
much.
Thank you,
Thank
doctor.
you so
Thank
much,
you,
sir.
doctor. Thank you, doctor.
And Shweta madam, I would like to thank you so much for chairing the session.
It's
And
my
for,
pleasure, madam.
Yes, ma'am. And we'd
It's my
like
pleasure. And
hearing the, yes, ma'am.
it's my privilege, madam.
Thank you so much. And I thank all the audience who are connected with us today. And lastly, thank to our mentor, Professor Kushal Das sir, who has always been a guiding force behind us for all these things. Thank you so much, sir. And all other listeners who have joined to us.
Yeah.
So I will
Certif-
share a, yes, sir, certificate of honor. Yes, sir. I have the honor to present you
Thank you,
Mallikarjun
thank you,
Mullimani
thank you,
sir's
doctor. Thank you,
certificate
doctor.
of honors. We'll be
Thank you,
sending it
doctor.
through you to the WhatsApp. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
I will send you
Thank you,
by
sir.
email.
Thank you. I will.
Now,
Yes.
Shweta, I request you,
Yes,
Dr. Sumangala, you
yes,
please
sir.
hand over
Yes,
chairperson of the session.
yes. Sir. Madam, I'm pleased to give you certificate of honors for chairing today's session. Thank you so much, Madam. Shweta, Madam. And
Thank you so
we'll
much,
be,
madam, for the certificate.
yes, we'll be sending the hard copy to you, Madam.
Sure, sure,
So,
sure.
thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. And with the permission of the chair, Dr. Sumangala, I feel that now time has come to conclude. It's a great moment and great pleasure of the last Saturday of the month of February 2022. Hope all of us will stay blessed and stay safe in future. So God bless you, all of you. Thank you very much. We are concluding and closing here. Thank you, all the guests and chairperson and all the delegates who are participating in today's meeting. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day.
Good day.
Good day, sir.